Title: The Untold Stories of Sing Sing, America's Most Famous Prison Exposed. Help this channel grow. Like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe for more stories. This helps us a lot. Thank you. The story begins. The prison on the Hudson. At sunrise, the Hudson River glows gold, mist drifting across the water like smoke from an unseen fire. And there, carved into the shoreline, stands Sing Sing, a fortress of stone and iron that has watched over New York for nearly 200 years. Most Americans know the name. Few know the truth. Behind those high gray walls are stories that shaped American criminal justice. Stories filled with fear, resilience, cruelty, and change. Sing Sing opened in 1826, long before modern laws, modern rights, or modern protections. Back then, people believed punishment should be painful. Reform was a luxury. Mercy was optional. And Sing Sing became the symbol of America's toughest justice. A prison so feared that criminals whispered the name like a warning. Do the crime, do the time, but pray it's not at Sing Sing. The prison was built on a brutal system known as the Auburn model. Total silence, total obedience, and total isolation. Inmates marched in lockstep, eyes forward, hands by their sides, heads shaved, dressed in black and white stripes. They could not speak. They could not look at each other. They lived inside stone cells barely wider than their shoulders, sleeping on iron beds so cold they bruised the skin. Even breathing felt like a crime. Former guards later said you could hear the silence, a pressure in the air that made your lungs tighten. The only constant sound was the river outside and the footsteps of the guards patrolling the tiers. Inside those walls, discipline ruled everything. In the early decades, inmates were forced into hard labor, quarrying stone, forging iron, building more of the prison itself with their own hands. Prisoners carved out the same walls that would cage them for the rest of their lives. Some said Sing Sing didn't just hold men, it consumed them one stone at a time. But the image that defined Sing Sing's darkest years was an invention introduced in 1891, Old Sparky, the electric chair. For decades, Sing Sing became the nation's execution chamber. More than 600 people were put to death here, including infamous killers, gangsters, and men who were later found innocent. The chair was kept in a small room, plain and sterile, almost clinical, and yet the most terrifying room in American history. Reporters who witnessed executions called the atmosphere thick with dread. Families of the condemned waited outside the gates, clutching rosaries or letters that would never be delivered. Guards said the hardest part wasn't operating the machinery, it was walking the inmate down the last hallway, the death corridor, a dim passage that echoed with every footstep. For many, it was the last sound they would ever hear. But Sing Sing's story is not only about death, it's about transformation. In the early 20th century, new wardens began to see inmates not just as criminals, but as human beings capable of change. One of them, Lewis Laws, became legendary. Laws abolished whippings, improved living conditions, expanded education, and even invited community programs inside the prison. Under Laws, Sing Sing launched a newspaper, a debating society, workshops, and even theatrical plays where inmates performed in costume on a real stage. Visitors who toured the prison were stunned by the talent, the discipline, and the strange sense of hope inside a place known for despair. Some inmates who once lived in total silence learned to read, write, and rebuild their lives. And yet, the darkness never disappeared. Violence still erupted inside the corridors. Riots flared in the yard. Corruption, overcrowding, and desperation continued to haunt Sing Sing into the modern era. Guards described the prison as a pressure cooker with a broken release valve, where small disputes could ignite into chaos. Inmates remembered nights when fights broke out on the tiers, shadows moving fast between the bars, shouts echoing through the concrete. By the 1980s and 1990s, Sing Sing had become a symbol of America's criminal justice failures, a place where poverty, crime, and punishment intersected in the harshest way. Yet for all the fear, for all the myths, Sing Sing also became a place where some men found redemption, education, faith, or simply the strength to survive another day. As the sun rises higher over the Hudson River, the camera pulls back from the prison's ancient walls. What lies inside is more than just cells and iron. It is a living monument, a place where pain and hope collide, and where every inmate's story becomes part of America's larger struggle with justice itself. Surviving the inside, voices from the men of Sing Sing. When outsiders imagine Sing Sing, they picture cold stone walls and steel bars, maybe the electric chair, maybe a riot. But people who lived inside, men who spent decades behind the razor wire, describe something far more complex. Chapter 2 is not about the buildings. It's about the men, the culture, and the unwritten rules that decide whether you make it through another day. From the moment a new inmate arrives at Sing Sing, he is swallowed by noise. Gates slam. Officers shout instructions. Chains clink. The cell blocks echo with dozens of voices layered over each other like a constant storm. Unlike the early years of silence and isolation, modern Sing Sing is loud, alive, and unpredictable. One former inmate said, "The noise gets inside your skin. You don't sleep, you adapt." Life inside Sing Sing operates on a delicate and dangerous balance. Every man learns fast. Respect is currency, fear is protection, and reputation is survival. There are no second chances for first impressions. A simple mistake, bumping into someone sitting at the wrong table, staring too long, can decide how the next several years of your life will go. Inmates talk often about the code, an unwritten set of rules older than the prison itself. Don't snitch. Don't steal. Don't ask too many questions. Don't get involved in business that isn't yours. These rules aren't written in any handbook, but they matter more than any official regulation. Breaking them can get you isolated, targeted, or worse. But Sing Sing is not a war zone every minute. It's more like a pressure chamber. Everything looks calm, until it isn't. Most violence inside Sing Sing doesn't happen in riots or large confrontations. It happens in seconds. Sudden fights in the yard, arguments in the day room, quick flashes of anger in the chow hall. Former inmates describe how a peaceful afternoon can turn chaotic without warning. One man recalled, "You never knew who woke up angry. You just prayed it wasn't the guy next to you." The yard is the heart of the prison, a vast open space where inmates exercise, socialize, join groups, or stay alone. Here alliances form. Gangs maintain their presence. Men with long sentences gather in circles, talking quietly about appeals, families, or the past. Younger inmates move fast and talk louder, trying to act tougher than they feel. Prison staff have said the yard is the place where the prison truly reveals itself. Tense, diverse, and always on alert. Yet even inside the roughest corners of Sing Sing, there are stories of unexpected brotherhood. Some older inmates take younger men under their wing, warning them about mistakes that lead to trouble. Others share books, legal advice, or simply conversation. One inmate serving 25 years said, "People think we're all monsters, but some of the most compassionate men I've ever met were locked up with me." Education also plays a major role in survival. Sing Sing is home to one of the most famous prison college programs in the world, the Hudson Link and Bard College Initiative. Men who were once written off by society began earning degrees inside cells no bigger than closets. Some wrote poetry. Others learned law. Many said that education was the only thing that kept their minds alive. One former inmate explained, "Sing Sing breaks you physically. Education saves you mentally." He described how reading helped him block out the noise, ignore provocations, and focus on the possibility of a different future. But Sing Sing's darkness remains ever present. Solitary confinement, known as the box, still casts a long shadow. Prisoners sent there describe days that blur into nights, walls that feel like they're shrinking, and silence that becomes its own kind of madness. Some inmates spend months inside, others years. Advocates say solitary leaves scars that never fully heal. Mental health remains one of the biggest concerns. Many men arrive with trauma, addiction, or untreated conditions. With limited resources, some struggle alone. A former officer admitted, "Some men didn't need punishment, they needed help. But the system wasn't built for help." By the late 2000s and 2010s, Sing Sing began to shift again. Programs expanded. Custody methods changed. Violence slowly decreased, though it never vanished. Officers and inmates learned to coexist in a constant tug-of-war. One side trying to maintain order, the other trying to survive long enough to see freedom. Yet despite all the reforms, one truth from the old days still remains. Sing Sing changes everyone. Some men leave stronger. Others leave broken. Many never leave at all. Sing Sing isn't just a prison. It's a world with its own laws, its own rhythm, and its own stories. And in Chapter 3, we uncover the darkest and most defining of all. The stories of the families, the victims, and the future of one of America's most famous correctional institutions. The families, the reckoning, and the future of Sing Sing. As much as Sing Sing is a story about walls, guards, and inmates, the truth is that the prison's shadow stretches far beyond the Hudson River. It reaches into neighborhoods, courtrooms, and kitchens across New York, into the lives of families who wait, worry, and hope. It is about the people connected to Sing Sing who never walked its tears, yet bear its weight every day. For every man serving a sentence, there is a mother, daughter, sibling, or partner whose life becomes suspended in time. Visiting day at Sing Sing is emotional in ways most Americans never see. Families line up outside the gates early in the morning, holding paperwork, IDs, and bags of clothing. Some travel for hours across the state. Others come regularly, sometimes weekly, holding on to the belief that presence alone can keep their loved one from falling deeper into despair. Visitors recall the strange mixture of fear and relief as they pass through metal detectors, surrender their bags, and walk down long hallways toward the visiting room. Inside, the sight of an inmate, someone they love, walking into the room in a green uniform can be overwhelming. Conversations flip between hope and heartbreak. Updates on children, plans for appeals, struggles with mental health, regrets, promises, and sometimes apologies. One mother told a documentary crew, "Sing Sing didn't only lock up my son. It locked up our whole family." Her words echo the reality for thousands of New York families caught in the cycle of incarceration. Yet Sing Sing also holds stories of redemption. Programs inside the prison changed lives not only of inmates but of the families tied to them. Men earning degrees, counseling certificates, and vocational training often write home with pride for the first time in years. Children who once feared visits now look at their fathers with admiration. Wives send photos of graduation ceremonies, birthdays, and first steps. Images that motivate men to change when everything else around them pushes toward hopelessness. But not all families ever make it to the visiting room. And not all who enter Sing Sing survive long enough to go home. The walls of Sing Sing are layered with tragedies. Men who took their own lives, died of illness, or were victims of violence. In some cases, families received letters after the fact, letters they still read years later trying to make sense of what happened. The prison keeps records, conducts investigations, and issues statements. But for the families, answers often feel incomplete. One sister of a deceased inmate said, "They mailed me his belongings. But no one could explain the feeling I had, that I lost him long before he died." Her grief is part of Sing Sing's hidden history, the human cost that rarely makes headlines. Modern Sing Sing now stands at a crossroads. In recent years, New York announced plans to close older prison facilities due to declining incarcerated populations and shifting criminal justice priorities. Sing Sing, nearly 200 years old, is one of the most controversial cases. Some believe it should be closed due to outdated infrastructure and history tied to executions. Others argue that Sing Sing has become a model for rehabilitation, citing its education programs, reentry preparation, and community engagement. A major transformation is already underway, the Sing Sing Museum and Justice Center project. Designed to open in the coming years, the museum aims to preserve the prison's history while educating the public about incarceration, reform, and justice. Advocates hope it will bring transparency, shedding light on stories long kept hidden behind the stone walls. Supporters believe a museum can spark difficult but necessary conversations about race, inequality, sentencing laws, and the human experience inside American prisons. Critics fear it may sanitize the suffering that happened there. Whatever the outcome, the project signifies something profound. Sing Sing is not just a place of punishment, it's a piece of America's social history. For the men still incarcerated there today, Sing Sing remains a world apart. Some spend their days studying, mentoring younger inmates, or working in vocational shops. Others struggle against depression, isolation, or unresolved anger. Officers walk the tiers knowing that any shift could become unpredictable. Even with modern reforms, the tension never fully fades. Yet there is also resilience. Former inmates who completed degrees return to the world as counselors, teachers, business owners, and even public speakers. Their stories prove something powerful. Change is possible, even inside one of the most feared prisons in American history. One former inmate said after his release, "I left Sing Sing, but Sing Sing never left me." He meant the lessons, the scars, the friendships, the remorse. Everything he carried forward shaped his new life. As the documentary closes, the camera rises above the prison at sunset. The river glows orange, the towers cast long shadows, and the centuries-old walls look both ancient and alive. Sing Sing is more than rock and steel. It is a mirror reflecting America's struggle with crime, punishment, mercy, and redemption. Some men entered Sing Sing broken. Some entered dangerous. Some entered innocent. And all of them left changed one way or another. The untold stories of Sing Sing are not only about the past. They are a reminder of what justice has been, and what justice must become.